Welcome to the Salisbury Zoo. We are spending our afternoon here, having an opportunity to walk around, see some of our animals, and we are joined here with our first guest today, Ralph Pylan, the director of the zoo. Welcome, Ralph.
Thank you.
And we're also joined by Roxanne Gabrielson, who is a member of our Delmarva Zoological Society board. And my name is Kathy Bassett, and I am also involved with the Delmarva Zoological Society, which is our nonprofit that raises money for the Salisbury Zoo. So welcome, Ralph. How's everything happening at the zoo today?
It's good. We're hoping for a busy summer. It's always our busiest time of the year. We're hoping for good weather. That's the one big variable. But we invite people out. Remember that it's free of admission, free of parking charges. That makes us pretty unique in the country.
That's what I understand. I understand there's only about a handful of zoos in North America that are AZA accredited, which is an important accreditation to make sure that all the animals are well cared for. But you also offer free parking for admission. Very unique, very rare. Such a gem to have here in our community.
And we try to become a part of the Salisbury community because of that unique relationship. And we're planning some improvements to the zoo down the line, cooperating with the Delmarva Zoological Society and trying to get that done. And we want to stay a part of the park system, this larger area, and continue to make ourselves relevant to the community.
We'll talk a little bit about more of that in a second, but Roxanne, can you tell us about the Delmarva Zoological Society? How did they come to be? What is the purpose of that organization?
We were formed several years ago with a big, large $3 million capital campaign that we had because there was a need at the zoo for a couple big things. The first being the animal health care clinic. And we have that is up and running, and I think, Ralph, 2 years now that's been up. And
we've been in the building for 2 years. We're still finishing out some parts of it, but it's been an asset for the last 2 years.
And that helped us get our AZA accreditation, again, which is a really important item for the zoo to have so that we can have some interesting animals other than, local ducks. And
that's right. With the AZA accreditation, then you're allowed to have animals like our spider monkeys and Andean bears and animals like that.
Well, it opens the door for us to collaborate with other major parks and institutions throughout the country, and that's very critical nowadays because most zoo transactions are loans or gifts to other organizations based upon the operating needs of sustaining captive populations. And you need that accreditation to really get you into that group of collaborating institutions.
Okay, excellent. So, Roxanne, tell us, DZS sort of has two major, fundraising things that they do every year. Can you tell us a little bit about each of those?
Sure. Well, we have Just Zoo It, and I think we're 5 years into that, and we involve all of the children in 5 counties, I think Worcester, Wycomico, Somerset, Dorchester. Four counties. Yep. This year we raised, I think, over $35,000, and total over the 5 years, I think we've raised over $155,000.
And that's an amazing campaign. I'm involved in that campaign as well. And what we do is we ask area school children, to take home a little can, which Pepsi generously donates to us. It has a little bank lid on it. And they go out, if they're going out trick-or-treating, it's always around Halloween time, and ask the community to give a little bit back to the zoo. And it's been such a rewarding experience to see how much our school children really love this zoo. And they do. I'm in the classrooms all the time talking with kids, and they love the zoo, and they love to help give back to the zoo, and that's been a really rewarding part of that whole fundraiser as well. And so what's your second fundraiser? And I know it's coming up.
Well, the first one, of course, is for children, and the second one is for adults, and it's Zoobilation. And it is June 25th from 5 to 10. We're going to have two great bands on Edge, and the second band is
Such Fools.
Such Fools. Mm-hmm. We're going to have, how many restaurants now do we have?
So
we keep adding them as we go.
We've confirmed about 16 restaurants are going to be here, sampling different foods. It's such a great venue for an evening event. Most people don't get to come out to the zoo at night, where a whole different sort of vibe is happening at the zoo.
Correct.
Some of the animals come out at night a little bit. I think you'll hear some of the peacocks. They like to get a little bit loud, like to do some of the dancing and partying at the zoo. But we also have beer and wine tasting.
Right, and we have some of the craft breweries. And how many wineries do we have now this year?
Well, we have a winery that's coming all the way over from Hagerstown, believe it or not. So that's something new and unique. We also will have a bunch of other wines being sampled. Some of our local craft beers will be sampled. And we have a live and silent auction,
Yes.
which
So
is
for all of you that want to donate, but you want to take a parting gift with you, that's something for you to participate in.
absolutely. And I just think it's a fun opportunity to give back to the zoo. And I've got to give huge credit to the zoo staff, because you guys work so hard all day, every day. But you also put a lot of effort into all of the other events that happen at the zoo, and Zoobilation is one of those. There's a lot of setup, a lot of behind the scenes work, a lot of stuff, that lighting, all those things that don't just happen magically. We know your zoo staff works so hard here, and we're so proud of them and the hard work that they do. One of the things I want to talk about, we'll get back to Zoobilation in a minute, but a lot of people maybe came out to the zoo in the last year and a half or two because there was a birth of a baby bear.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about baby Alba and what that meant to the zoo and the community, I guess?
Well, it really speaks to the tradition of the zoo, because going back in the past, the zoo had previously had successful birth of an Andean bear. Andean bears are a unique species. They're the only species of bear that live in South America. And it's a unique opportunity for us to participate actively in a viable conservation effort. There's about 50 to 60 Andean bears that are in captivity in North America. They're managed collaboratively through the AZA's Species Survival Plan. We're an active part of that, and it's an opportunity for us to contribute to the sustainability of the captive population. And it really illustrated some of the long-term connections in these programs. We found out after the fact, after Alba had gone to the San Diego Zoo for her new home, that her father had been born and lived at the San Diego Zoo many years ago. So there's still this connection between all the zoos and their programs, and now a connection between these two cities based on that program.
Excellent. And I know it's sad for us to say goodbye to Alba. I know that had to have been sad for the zookeepers as well, but the reality is Andean bears, and I guess maybe bears in general, are sort of solitary creatures. They don't hang out as a pack or as a family, really, do they?
That's correct. And yes, it was a sad moment when she went away. Fortunately, our primary bear keeper got to accompany her on the flight out to San Diego and to help with the transition to her new home. But Andean bears are solitary, and normally between 1 and 2 years after birth, the mom will encourage the offspring to move on and to find their own territory. And that was going on with Chaska and Alba. Chaska made it very clear that she was done being a mom for now, and that it was time for Alba to move on. And given our facilities, it's difficult for us to manage the two animals separately and safely, and still give them the attention and the access to the outside yards that they need. So we worked very closely with the SSP in San Diego and moved her out as quickly as we productively could. And we're happy to say the transport was safe. She seems to be adjusting to San Diego well. And we're looking forward to hearing how well she does out there in the future.
And in case you're wondering how a bear gets to San Diego, Federal Express.
Federal Express.
When it absolutely has to be there overnight.
And they flew to one of their main junction points in Memphis. And while they were waiting in Memphis, there was also a gorilla shipment that was passing through the same facility. So it's really not that unusual for animals to be transported that way.
Right, excellent. Well, we're happy to hear she's doing well, and we may be getting another male bear at some point.
We are looking at that, and we're looking very broadly, even internationally, to try to find new genetic material that would help make a strong, healthy population in the United States. And we're also looking, and this is where the support of groups like the Delmarva Zoological Society are so important, we need to make some minor alterations and improvements to our exhibit so that our keepers can, in terms of their safety and the animal safely, better manage a group of animals. We had a very beloved male bear in Greedo who passed away in the last year that was Alba's father, but he was older and wasn't quite as adventurous as maybe a new young male bear that we get in. And so we want to make sure we've got the appropriate facilities to safely manage that animal.
That's exciting. Well, I think we're all looking forward to maybe seeing some baby bears down the road. Tell us about the wallaby exhibit, because I know right now it's a little under construction, and that was a whole new Discover Australia, which was part of what Roxanne was mentioning earlier, our capital campaign, to bring a whole new continent of species to the Delmarva Peninsula. So what's happening with the wallaby exhibit?
Well, as Roxanne mentioned, there was a $3 million campaign, and that really had three primary elements: the animal health facility, which is now occupied; the Discover Australia facility, which part of that was started before this so that people got a glimpse of the wallabies, and then a replacement of our oldest building on campus, the visitor center. We're working on the Australia project and trying to do a lot of that in-house with our keeper staff, but it will include an expansion of the wallaby yard, and we're looking at whether we can maybe include emu or some other species in that yard as well. A kookaburra exhibit, aviary, and we do have one kookaburra on exhibit now. It's out in the old ocelot yard while we're waiting for a new ocelot to come in from a zoo in South Carolina. They're in the same position we were in with Alba. They have a youngster with a mom, and they're waiting for those two to separate naturally, and then they'll move the youngster up here. And then we're building a large aviary that'll have multiple species of Australian birds in it. And we're trying to create a zone within the zoo that really speaks to that continent and to those unique animals.
Fantastic. That sounds very exciting.
It is. It'd be great.
And can you tell us a little bit about the zoo's master plan? So the zoo and the community really, I guess, came together recently to sort of review, I guess, the zoo's footprint and maybe where we're headed in the future. Can you talk about that process a little bit?
Well, there were really two aspects to it. One is we wanted to make sure, as we did the improvement to Discover Australia and we renovated and replaced our visitor center, that we did it within the context of the larger organization. We also want to make sure that the zoo is responsive to the needs of the community. And in talking about doing things like Zoobilation and after-hours events, the Friday before Zoobilation is what we call Fourth Friday at the zoo, and we stay open later in the evening until 7:30 to give people additional access to the zoo. But we need the appropriate facilities and design to be able to do that, and so we want to make sure we were looking at all those elements before we committed to any one particular improvement.
Where does the master plan stand right now?
Well, we have a master plan that's been reviewed with the committee, with most of the major organizations. It's been reviewed by the City Council, by the Mayor's Office, and has been adopted or approved by them as the guiding force moving forward. It will, of course, need renewal and additional information as we move along, but it will guide us in terms of making the conceptual decisions about what are our priorities and how do we make those individual improvements fit within the context of the larger organization's role within the city.
Fantastic. And so, Roxanne, let me ask you, how, I guess, can the community help? And I know that's sort of why DZS was formed. You know, the zoo is owned by the city, somewhat limited, therefore, in its budget in terms of funding and large capital improvement projects. How can the public get involved to help the zoo?
Well, I'm sure there's many ways, as Ralph can say. Also, I mean, there are the Friends of the Zoo, which help with not only some tasks within the zoo, but also with educating people as they come through. Delmarva Zoological Society, we're the fundraising arm for the large capital improvements that need to be done. We're always looking for interested people to help us during our fundraisers, maybe be interested in being a member of the board. And of course, if you just don't have a time commitment, you can write us a check and we would love to take it because we have big projects on the horizon.
And I think there's so much potential here at the zoo and, only limited by our imagination, perhaps. So back to Zoobilation for a second, because I don't think we mentioned, and we need to, how you can get tickets. I know you can get them on our website, which is www.zoobilationsalisbury.com. You can also get them at any First Shore Federal branch in Salisbury, and they're also available here at the Zoo gift shop. So please get your tickets in advance. They are $60 and $75 at the door. We've talked a little bit about the Animal Health Clinic. We talked about the Discover Australia exhibit, which is sort of back under construction again in an expansion mode, and hopefully will be reopening pretty soon. The third part of that was our visitor center, which most folks will be familiar with, is that sort of A-frame building that has sort of fallen in disrepair and is no longer open, as I understand it. Where do we stand with that project?
Well, it was the oldest building on campus and built in the early 70s, and it had fallen into disrepair and really lived its useful life. But it's been an important facility for the zoo. It's called the Visitor Center. It was often used to greet and orient visitors, to put on special presentations. Earlier, we talked a little bit about the zoo's education programs, and it's housed some of the education animals over time. It's played a lot of different roles, but all supporting the mission of the zoo. We want to replace it. We want to make it an active element of both the main thoroughfare of the zoo as well as a component of the Tropics Trail. And so we're trying to meld all of those things together in the plan. The Delmarva Zoological Society has raised money specifically to fund that, and we're now at the stage where we're trying to make a construction budget match our resources, and we're hoping to move ahead within this year on construction of that improvement.
Fantastic. I think that'll be another great new addition to the Salisbury Zoo, and we look forward to helping you guys make that happen. One last final push for Zoobilation. Zoobilation is our largest fundraiser of the year, correct?
It is. Please come out. We would love to have everybody come out and enjoy a fun evening at the zoo. Donate your money, please, to help us have a successful event, and enjoy yourselves. It'll be
Absolutely.
great.
So website, zoobilationsalisbury.com. You can learn more about the Delmarva Zoological Society at renewthezoo.com. And of course, the Salisbury Zoo has its own website as well that details some of the collection here and all the other activities that go on today and every day at the Salisbury Zoo. So we hope you'll come out to the zoo and enjoy this incredible free resources we have in our community. And we really hope to see you out at Zoobilation, where you can give a little something back to the zoo. We will be right back.
Come on down and see us at the Salisbury Zoo. We're open every day, 7 days a week, 9 to 4:30.
Joining us now, Kelly Gorzik, who is here with our special guest today, a skunk. Kelly, what can you tell us about your friend?
This is a skunk. She's one of our new additions to the education collection of animals that we have. We have a separate collection of animals that are different from the exhibit animals. When you come to the zoo, you can't see them. They're kept behind the scenes, and we bring them out only for programs and special things. They're handled more, and so we let the kids pet them and interact with them more so than they do with the exhibit animals.
So now, I'm sure most people are like, a skunk? How could you possibly be handling a skunk? Does this skunk have a certain smell to it, or how have you handled that?
She does smell a little funny. She is an outside creature, but she has been descented. So luckily, she can't spray us.
How have you come to have a skunk in your education collection?
We like to have a diverse group of animals. We have different mammals, we have different birds, and we have different reptiles. So they all differ. We currently have a chinchilla. We have 2 chinchillas, a hedgehog, and a bunny. So we're trying to get some more mammals, and so this was our newest addition that we found.
Excellent. And I should mention that we are here in front of our flamingos, who obviously want to be a part of the show as well. So they might make a cameo appearance every now and again.
And the macaw.
And the
Yes.
macaw, exactly. They're loud. In case you haven't been to the zoo before, of course, the Salisbury Zoo is located here right in downtown Salisbury. It is free. It is open 7 days a week, so please come visit us. And it's we call it a great place to learn, where learning comes naturally. So tell us a little bit more about the education programs. Like, how many students a day does the zoo have with field trips and everything like that?
So it varies from day to day, especially in the summer we tend to have more. We have a whole bunch of different programs. We have stage presentations where groups of kids can come in. Those are 30 people maximum. But field trips can come, and they will they will get a presentation. She does. She wants to play. She's happy to be out. But we'll do those, and those are the presentations. They get 3 animals. They'll get a bird, they'll get a mammal, and they'll get a reptile. So each animal gets talked about for 10 minutes, and then typically, depending on the animals, they're allowed to pet at least one of them. We have self-guided tours too, which are completely free for groups that don't want to pay, and there's no maximum to the size for that. We send out, depending on the age group, we'll send out different information about the zoo with scavenger hunts and how to park with buses and things like that, and then groups can come in on their own and they have that information with them. So those in the summer, we'll have a few of those a day, and they vary in size.
And if you've been to the zoo and you're familiar with the zoo at all, there are always kids here, and I think that's one of the real treasures in our community is the fact that our zoo is free. It's accessible to all 7 days a week, and you actually have a program where you'll bring animals to, say, a nursing home or different programs like that. What is that program called?
That's called Zoo to You. We bring the zoo to you.
So you could bring actually our friend here. And
Yes.
Does our friend have a name?
Her name is Wisteria.
Wisteria.
Yes.
Excellent.
She's still getting used to the presentation lifestyle.
Is that right? As being a celebrity?
Yes.
How long have we had Wisteria here at the zoo?
We have had her just over a month, about a month and a half almost.
Now, let me ask you, because I'm sure maybe some kids at home, if they're watching, if they actually find a skunk in their backyard, they probably shouldn't pick it up like that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Most skunks probably won't let you pick them up.
Yeah, that would be a different outcome, I think.
Yes. Plus, they will have their scent glands, so they will spray.
Do they spray as a sort of a defense mechanism?
It is
that
a
how that works?
defense. They typically will actually give you warning signals before they spray. They can do handstands. They'll also stomp their feet, so that's kind of a get away from me signal. And then once they do that, if there's still something threatening them, then they'll resort to spraying.
Okay. And so a skunk is obviously native to this area. Is it does it come out at night? Is it a nocturnal?
Skunks are found throughout North America, and they are nocturnal animals. They could also be crepuscular, which is when they come out at dawn and dusk.
Crepuscular. All right, we learned that. Excellent. Okay. All right. So what is your favorite animal to show?
This one.
Is that right?
She is my favorite. We got her fairly recently, but I fell in love with her. I love handling our birds too. They're fun to work with.
What does she like to eat?
Here she gets fed fruits and veggies. Every other day she'll actually get an egg, believe it or not. That's her protein.
Does that keep her fur all nice and shiny and egg?
It keeps it intact. It's not necessarily shiny. She had a bath today, so she's nice and clean.
And most of your animals, I think, have come to you as a result of perhaps an injury, something like that. And I know I've sat through your discussions with school kids, and you always take the opportunity to try to teach kids, how to take care of our planet, what to think about. And the one thing that sticks with me is, if you're eating an apple in the car and you throw it out the window and you think, oh, it'll biodegrade, everything will be fine, but what you're not thinking about is what?
That's our big conservation message with the birds. Birds of prey, like owls and things like that, will eat mice, rats, and other rodents, which go after that food that's on the side of the road. And they're out more during the dark times. So you throw that apple out, and then some sort of rodent, a rat, say, will come and get it. Well, that's at night when the birds of prey are hunting. So then they swoop down. You can't see them, first of all, and they swoop down to get the rat, and then they end up getting hit. When they're lucky, someone will either stop, or they won't necessarily be completely injured to a point that they can't recover from. And that's when we get them, after they've been rehabbed.
And they're a great resource. They're a great opportunity to show kids up close some of the animals they may never see.
Yep.
In that sort of, like, I'm pretty sure I'm never going to see a skunk this close again. At least I hope not. No. All right.
No.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you, Wisteria, and we will be right back.
Come on down to Zoobilation on Saturday, June 25th from 5 to 10 p.m. We'll see you there.
Joining us now here at the Salisbury Zoo, right in front of our flamingo exhibit, we have Laura Nagel. And Laura, who did you bring with us today?
This is our barred owl, often confused with barn owls, as we have both in our area and they're about the same size. B-A-R-R-E-D, so barred like the bars on her chest. She's part of our education collection and has been for quite a number of years. She's our most often used bird. She's very calm. She doesn't mind large crowds or rowdy kids.
She's beautiful.
And she does a lot of our events, so she may be out wandering for Zoobilation as well.
Fantastic. Now, you are an education technician here at the Salisbury Zoo, which means you get to handle these guys all the time, correct?
I get to do a lot of the handling and care, and I also do a lot of the training of staff, volunteers, and interns to handle these guys.
Are you also involved with Zoo Camp?
I am. I'm sort of the person in charge, I guess, of Zoo Camp, which is coming up very, very quickly, but we do still have some space, so if anybody's interested, come on out and join us. Zoo Camp is always fun.
And what age group does Zoo Camp target, and what kinds of things can kids expect to do?
We go from entering kindergarten through 8th grade, whatever grade they'll be entering in the fall. So we start, and it's broken down by age group, so we won't have those age groups all at one time. So I start with kindergarten and 1st grade at the end of June, last week of June, and kind of go up in age group from there and then back down. And each week is a different topic, so there's 2 weeks per age group except for the 6th through 8th grade. And they can do both weeks or they can do just 1 week. And we do walks around the zoo to visit our exhibit animals. We have some up-close encounters with some of our exhibit animals, our education animals. We do lots of crafts, we do lots of games, we do all kinds of fun stuff.
Fantastic. I do have a friend whose daughter is giving up one of her most favorite camps because it coincides with Zoo Camp, and she will not miss Zoo Camp. So you guys get to offer something really special, and I know that our kids all look forward to it. So thank you for all that you do. Can you tell us a little bit about how this guy came to be in our collection of our educational animals?
Well, we have barred owls right around here. They're one of the 4 owls that are found in our area year-round. But this girl actually came to us from a zoo in Mississippi, which is a rehab facility. She was hit by a car and is missing her left wing. All this fluff over here should be covered up by a wing. But that wing was too damaged to save, and since she cannot fly, she can't be re-released into the wild. So she was shipped up here when they found that we had extra space available. And she's been trained to the glove and has just recently gotten really good at stepping up, but she's always gone in and out of a carrier well. But barred owls are very calm, they're very easy to work with, so she's been one of our often used birds for quite a while.
Now I'm watching her move her head around. It seems as if she can spin it around and around, but does it go all the way around?
It doesn't make a complete circle. They can turn their heads 270 degrees, or about 3/4 of a circle.
Wow, that is impressive.
They do that because their eyes are fixed in place. She can't move her eyeballs within the sockets like we can, so she's got to be able to turn her whole head.
Now, would she bite you?
She may. She's pretty unlikely to bite. She's one of our calmer guys, but we don't take chances with the birds, so the birds are off of our touch list. The skunk we can touch, but not the birdies, just in case.
Yeah.
Our
I
usual
notice you're
rule
wearing
of
a
thumb
glove.
is anything with a mouth can bite. The glove is mainly to protect us from their talons.
Yeah, that's pretty
Owls
impressive.
have very, very strong talons, very sharp claws. She doesn't grip really hard either, which is nice, but again, you never know. If something startles her, she'll tighten up.
I think our flamingos may have just got
She's
an
not
eyeball
sure
on
about
her.
those.
Excellent.
They're noisy, aren't they, baby?
So Laura, if she were to fly and she did have her other wing, how wide would be her wingspan?
She would have about a 4 to 4.5 foot wingspan.
Wow, that's impressive.
There's a lot more fluff than owl there, but she still has to have enough of a wingspan to get her weight off the ground.
And nocturnal?
And
So-
these guys can fly silently. They have very fluffy fringed feathers to help them sneak up on their prey in the dark.
So does that mean that if you were, like today, she would ordinarily be sleeping?
Normally, these guys are they're pretty used to our program schedule. They have to be out during the day. for our programs, so our zoo owls run on a little different schedule than most wild owls. But if we take her out for an evening program, she is much more active and much more aware of everything around her. She's kind of really laid back and a little sleepy for
The
daytime
macaw is
programs.
very interested in her.
Yeah,
He's
he's a
coming
nosy
down to
guy.
get a closer look.
Zoo camp starts the last week of June and runs through the 3rd week of August. The only week we do not have camps is the week of July 4th because of the holiday. And the schedule and topics and all the information is on our website at salisburyzoo.org, or you can call us at the office for more information.
Well, thank you so much for bringing our barred owl. I learned something new. Every time I'm at the zoo, I learn something new. That's one of the beautiful things about the zoo is where learning comes naturally. Your kids will be learning stuff and they won't even know it. It's the best kind of learning. So thank you all for joining us. We hope to see you out here at the zoo, open 7 days a week. And lots of always interesting, fun things to do and see here. Please check us out at ZoobilationSalisbury.com. Get your tickets to Zoobilation. Come support the Salisbury Zoo and all of the different things that happen here at the zoo. Thank you so much for your time.
Pack 14, your public access channel. It doesn't stink.